welcome to Work Our Way. I'm Allie.
And I'm Patrick.
And we are in Adelaide.
Hell yeah, we made it.
Surprise! One thing that we want to talk about this episode is the feeling of being uncomfortable, because that has really truly been a theme for us since we got to Australia.
Oh yeah, and kind of overcoming that discomfort.
Yeah. We're feeling good. We're almost exactly a month in.
Yeah, exactly a month in.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
December 7th. High five.
Okay,
Oops.
wow.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Have you ever done that before?
before?
Welcome to Planet Earth. Unfortunately, we just started video recording these too, so you guys got to see Allie in her true alien behavior. Her first time ever high-fiving.
I don't know why.
She tried to block it like Dikembe Mutombo with both hands.
Oh, I thought I was going to knock my mic over, so I switched it up. I hate myself.
That was awesome. And if you're listening to this, check out the YouTube, because that is worth it.
Oh my god. Yeah, let's talk about this setup. This is probably the most janky thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah, if you guys got a keen eye, you realize that my mic stand is actually a beer box.
With all of the beers that we drank last night still in them.
We need a mic stand for this Yeti, and a mic cord for this Yeti, and a new Yeti.
I've got a Lonely Planet book about Australia, my purse, and then 4 more books, and the mic. So if someone wants to sponsor us so that we can upgrade our gear, that would be great. All you entrepreneurs out there who are listening, help us out.
Yeah.
This is really embarrassing.
Support the troops.
Please. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we're in Adelaide. We came here because we have to register our new van.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was sold to us with South Australian plates. They said it's easier if you just go to South Australia. So that's where Adelaide is.
Yeah, we weren't looking forward to it because we thought, how are things going to beat Melbourne? And then we remembered, oh yeah, the weather's dog shit there, and we haven't had any fun at all.
No, it was just rain, clouds, and the one day of sun we had, we got horribly sunburned, which made the rest of, the 2 weeks we were there?
Yeah, talk about getting over discomfort. We finally made it through the worst of it. And so we got...
I don't have purple skin anymore.
Yeah, no, she was talking about looking like an alien.
Sun poisoned. Yeah, I was a freak. But yeah, no, Melbourne was rough, and we were trying the keto thing, so we were uncomfortable in what we were eating, we were sunburned, we had a little bit of seasonal depression, I think, with the weather, so really this has been almost like a brand new chapter coming to Adelaide. Oh yeah, no, it's been night and day, it's, 12 hours away? Yeah. So we broke the trip up in... 3 days. 3 days. And the first 2 days were brutally bad with winds, with rain. Yeah. We stopped on one of the roadside, just by the Great Ocean Road. So we drove the Great Ocean Road, which was gorgeous. And the weather actually made the waves crazy and intimidating. And we walked to this place called the Arch. And it just looked like another planet. It was just the waves were crashing in, coming over the big, gigantic boulders in the sea. It was scary. Mm-hmm. The ocean was like a washing machine. It looked like a hurricane out there. It was intense. Yeah, we checked out the grotto, which was pretty cool, very windy. Mm-hmm. And then we found ourselves a nice little campsite. Yeah, a parking lot. That's really what it was. And it's been interesting because this was our first time really truly doing van life. Because we've been in the tiny homes the last few weeks. Yep, and as tiny as those homes are, they're pretty spacious compared to the van. And they have everything you need, the compost toilet, 2-scoop guy. Yep, 2-scoop man. This is episode 3. Yep. They had food, we were close to cities, so we weren't really living out of our van. So we weren't really uncomfortable until we started our journey here. Yeah, and this was our first real, legitimate van life experience. Yeah. We cooked in it. Mm-hmm. We slept in it with no problem, really. Though my paranoia was through the roof. Oh my god, yeah. We have a wrench as a weapon. Yeah.
And then there's like a knife that I've got and a wrench both within arm's distance. So if any creeps come knocking, I'm going out full bore, and it's going to be a bashy and stabby good time for me.
Yeah. You hear everything when you're sleeping in the van. You can hear the bushes rattling. You can hear all the animals, the birds. The birds here.
They don't sound like birds. Every bird I hear sounds like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. They do. They all just have that laugh. Yeah. You don't know what it's like out here, Murray.
They sound like animals from Jurassic Park, but they look like seagulls, so it's very confusing.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of these weirdos.
It's like the new noise that I made when we went to French Island, and I saw the porcupine.
Yeah, episode 1.
You look up, you're like, what was that? Oh, a bird. That's so weird. Oh, the birds here are they're nuts.
Yeah, so that was kind of the first 2 nights. Anything? Oh, we got to cook.
We got to cook. We got to shower.
Yeah, so our van, and we'll see if we can do a little video tour of it and maybe super splice it with this video overlay. But it's got kind of everything we need. It's got a little bit of storage space under the bed, which converts into a couch, so we can sit there. There's a television that sits right over our stove and our sink.
Yeah.
So we have kind of running water as long as our water reservoirs are full, and the solar panels are charging the batteries. We can pump the water in, and it's actually pretty cool. We got a propane tank for our stovetop. There is a bathroom.
Yeah, which we're using as a storage room because it's got like a little like potty thing.
Yeah, it's got like a squatty potty.
Yeah.
So, but you can. If you got enough sawdust, but I imagine we could use it, but we don't have any sawdust.
We're too scared to use it.
Yeah, it's getting pretty hot.
Break it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cook any turds in the back of our van, you know? But you empty it by pulling out the bucket underneath, and it's a fairly efficient, I guess, program. Program. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to call it. But it's got a shower, too. And we did get to test out the shower. We got to test out the stovetop. Shower wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't as cold as I thought it was going to be.
Yep. There's not enough, I wouldn't say there's enough space to get a full shower in the van. There's like the shower's also in the little bathroom area that we're using for storage. So that doesn't necessarily work out. So the shower kind of functions pretty well if you don't mind getting naked in a parking lot.
Yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking because we were in a part of the parking lot that was a little private, but we could still see anyone who came in. So if anyone entered the parking lot, the first thing they would have seen was 2 naked and afraid people.
Yeah, 2 gorgeous naked people. You found the right camping.
Trying to share one little shower nozzle, Yeah. So that was interesting. Never done that before. But it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. I'd do it again.
What did we get up to before we left? Oh, we hit up Phillip Island.
Gosh.
If you guys remember from episode 1, we talked about going to French Island.
Yeah, we went to the wrong island.
It's so boring there.
Yeah, it was the worst.
It shall allow you to sleep at night.
Yeah. Yeah, so we finally got to the fun island, the island with people on it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was still rainy, kind of stormy, but we hit like a good 2-hour window. Yeah. Right when we got there. We tried to check out the penguin parade, but we were way too early for that.
Yeah, and also it seemed really lame, so we ended up not doing it at all.
Yeah, it was like $50 to watch penguins scuttle by. And it's like, I could go to a zoo.
Yeah. I wanted them to, like, scuttle in my arms.
Yeah.
And, like, I could hug them a little bit and take one home. Like, they're very restricted. They're like, you can only go to this one area, and you have to sit with a bunch of other people for hours, and hopefully they'll show up at 9 p.m.
Yeah, and it's like a penguin parade. You tell me parade, I'm expecting them to be throwing candy. The mayor of Penguin City's going to be on a float, waving at me. There's going to be a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Didn't look like any of that. So we did go to... what was that? Like a nature reserve?
It was some wildlife reserve. And we're like, okay, let's just check this out because there wasn't really anything else to do. No. And I'll tell you what, total free-for-all, which was awesome. Like, we went in and they're like, here's some food. check out the kangaroos
Yep, the
and do
wallaroos.
whatever you want. Like, they had doors that looked like you weren't supposed to open them. You could just walk
You could
right
open
in.
them. You could open them.
Not really any
Yep.
cages.
Head right into wild dingo territory.
Yeah, they're like, good luck. Which was so cool. Oh my god. There was a moment where we were trying to cross over into the area that had all the kangaroos, and we had to cross a bridge. And there were these giant, ugly ass looking birds blocking the way.
If you guys are following us on Insta, there's a video of us feeding a couple of kangaroos, and then I turn the camera to a couple of birds, and one of them almost bites my hand.
Yeah, so you see the bird, and we'll put the video of this bridge story on there too, so you guys can get the full experience.
Yeah, so we walk across the bridge, and then we turn around to see 6 of these birds now in full, perch, running at us like a bunch of pterodactyls.
They were sneaking up on us, and we were kind of assholes. Like, we were trying to cross the bridge, and we were kind of like, oh, across the bridge, look at you birds, you stupid birds, and we were talking shit to them a little bit. Apparently they can understand English because we kept walking, and they literally snuck up on us. That's never happened to me with a bird.
Yeah.
Let alone 6.
There were 6 of them just came flying out. We ran. We ended up
screaming.
running away from them.
I was on the ground laughing my ass off. I haven't laughed that hard in so long.
It was unbelievable.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I felt like prey. You know, I felt like legitimate prey when I was on their menu.
I was scared of them. They were. Oh my god. So that was cool. But the best part, obviously, was feeding kangaroos, and there were 50 of them, just hanging out.
Oh my god. Yep, lounging.
Yeah, doing the whole leaning on their arm. Yeah. Just legs out.
Yeah, Jabba the Hutt lounging.
Yep.
Jabba the Hutt. Boshuda.
It was so cool. But those things are scary too because they're big.
Oh yeah. No, they're jacked.
Yeah.
They came over, they grab your hand, which made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah. They got claws. They just grab onto you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want to you. You're kind of their victim. I felt, again, like prey.
Yeah. I've seen YouTube videos of giant-ass kangaroos just, kicking people.
Oh, yeah. They're little, they're their toenails. They back up on their tail and then launch themselves at you and then dice you in the belly with their big-ass toenails.
Yeah.
They're not to be fucked with, yeah. I was positive that was going to happen to me. It didn't.
No, we were good. We were safe. But it was cool because some of the kangaroos had joeys. So you would just see, a leg sticking out. It's not what you would assume where their head's popping out and they look all cute. It's
yeah, it's kind of, it looks like they swallowed a leg.
Yeah. I'm that can't be comfortable.
Yeah, it looks awful in there.
Yeah, they're just all knotted up.
Yeah, they had ostriches just running around.
Yeah,
and they did warn us. It was the only animal they warned us about. They were just well, if the ostrich sees that you have a bag of food, they're gonna try and take that whole bag of food. I'm like, ugh. All right. So I kept my distance from them. They look shaggy.
Yeah.
They look remember that woman that called me a dog cunt?
Yeah.
Ostriches look like her. They all look like Bette Midler from Hocus Pocus.
Exactly. They got the blue eyelids, the blue eyeshadow.
They look like a branch sticking out of a bush.
Eyelashes that are way too long that just fucking flutter at you. They're ugly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Just like she was. Screw that bitch.
Yeah, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, but that was crazy seeing those birds too because they're pretty big. Actually, there was a Chinese family that was trying to get into one of the areas that was being guarded by an emu, and it was really funny because they were terrified. They were stuck. They were well, I guess this is where we live now because we can't get out of this enclosure. There's an emu in our way.
Yeah. Was I saying ostrich this whole time?
Yeah.
I meant emu. I'm stupid. I'm just kind of a dumb guy.
But that was so much fun, and that was Phillip Island. We had a really good time there, and that was a really good way, I think, to wrap up Melbourne, because that was, I think, our last day.
That was our last day, and it was on the heels of 3 days of rain, and we just kind of couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, we're get us out of here.
Yeah, we needed to. We were going stir crazy in the house. We sat through the entire 3.5-hour movie of The Irishman. If that gives you any indication of how bored we were.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to It was windy, it was rainy, it was miserable. So we put on a 3.5-hour long movie. And honestly, I really liked it.
Yeah, unpopular opinion. I enjoyed it too. Yeah. What I will say is, with all the bitching Martin Scorsese did about Marvel movies and their CGI extravaganza, he relied pretty heavily on that CGI de-aging. So I think that was kind of one of the cornerstones of the film. I think he needs to kind of shut the fuck up about cinema.
Tone it down.
Yeah, not that I'm any expert. I can't even figure out what an ostrich or an emu is.
Well, it's okay. At least you can high five people, so you know, that's a better. Oh my god. We stopped in a town. Wallarunaroo.
Yeah, Warranambol. Wanna bang you.
Yeah, it was this little ho-dinky town that we stopped in on the way, and we were at a McDonald's, and we saw a mural on the wall that looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, the mural. So it was this like kind of cartoonish mural that were not drawn to scale of like the beach and the town, and had like all the people, and like had a trolley that was obviously larger than the street, and like a couple of people walking that are larger than the buildings, and it was like, you notice like all of the people are white except for the dude playing basketball. He's the only black person in the entire mural. And that's not even the most offensive part. The most offensive part is he was doing a layup.
Come on.
At least have him dunk.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go through all the trouble to single him out, at least have him be good at basketball.
Australia, come on.
Yeah, so double racist.
Yeah.
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 I want to try and find a picture of that online, or if we drive back through, try and remind me. I want a picture of that.
Absolutely.
I should have taken one because that was wild.
It was.
It was nuts. Obvious.
I was so embarrassed for Australia. Oh my god. And then we went to an Australian place called Nico's Pizza.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's where we grabbed dinner. It was like the only place that was open. This was last Sunday, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So there weren't too many options. It was cold, it was rainy, and we found this little Italian place. And we like Italian, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we go in, it's very small, and it's filled with Chinese people, which that should have been our first indication that this Italian food's going to be not pretty good. Yeah, if you don't see at least one big hairy galoot of an Italian guy in there, throw away the restaurant.
Yeah.
And this Italian food was so bad that I questioned the mafia's power.
Yeah.
If they're throwing the Italian name on this, then the mafia can't be that powerful if they're still alive.
Yeah, they must not exist in Australia. Because, damn, that was... They just had pictures of places in Italy on the wall.
Yeah, that was the most Italian thing, was a picture of Venice.
Yeah. And the Chinese people were taking pictures of the picture as if it was, you know, an authentic Italian restaurant. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Did the trick. We grabbed some disgusting pizza from there. I burned the roof of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Uncomfortable. Again, it's a theme.
Yeah. What else? Oh, I had my first whoopsie-daisy moment driving the van.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in a gas station, I think in the same town, and you had grabbed my leg. You're like, Allie, you've been crushing it as a driver. Keep up the good work. I'm so proud of you. I was feeling great. I was on high. I was like, hell yeah, I fucking got this.
So Allie doesn't let me drive yet because I still get nervous when we approach intersections because I don't know which way cars are coming from. I have not yet been able to rewire my brain for driving on the left-hand side of the road. I still get nervous. I'll be like, oh! When we're approaching intersections, and she'll be like, Pat, stop.
Shut up.
Got you. Shut up. You're in the passenger seat, bitch.
Yeah, well, I was just feeling so good. That was the best compliment ever. And I immediately exited the gas station into oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer. Sorry about that.
And I had such little my confidence is so shaken in my ability to discern left and right side of the road that I wasn't even sure that Allie was wrong. She got on a 2-lane highway going the wrong direction on the highway. And I was confused. Allie was obviously confused.
Yeah.
The cars coming directly at us were very confused.
Probably a little mad.
And scared.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that fear was approaching me as well.
Yeah. But we're here. We made it. So who cares?
Nobody. I still kind of do.
Yeah. But it's tough. You know, a couple times driving in the UK, when you get really comfortable and you're just zoning out, you just naturally start to revert back to old habits of driving in the US. So sometimes you veer a little bit to the left side of the lane.
This wasn't a veer.
No, it was a turn. Yeah, you know, I fucked up for sure. But those little things happen. Like I've clipped curbs before because I just zone out and I veer a little bit to the left and whoops, there's my tire. So yeah, I mean it happens, but yeah, that was a huge bummer for me.
Yeah.
That compliment meant nothing immediately after you said it.
Down the drain.
Yeah, so I gotta earn that back. But the good news is we're heading to Perth next. That's gonna be like an 8-day drive, so I'll have plenty of opportunity to make up for it.
So let's talk a little bit about Adelaide.
Yes, Adelaide is awesome. You know why? Because we can actually see the sun.
Yeah.
It's not a cloud in the sky.
That means more sunburn, but we learned our lesson, so we put sunscreen on most of our body. So our sunburn patches are just small. They're isolated.
Yep, in the video you can kind of see I missed a couple spots.
Yep.
In all the most awkward places, like around the top and bottom of the swimsuit. So I'm just going to look like a weird. You know, I got the back of my legs are still burned a little bit from the first time, and now I just have patches. So
yeah.
Cool.
But people here in Adelaide are pretty dope. It's actually super funny.
Yeah.
We stopped at a library, and one of the librarians was helping a fella with finding something. She found it for him and was, 10 feet away from him, and decided to throw the book to him. And she glances at me as she's about to throw it and then throws it. And it lands a little short, and the guy kind of goes for it and drops it. Hits him in the hands, and then he drops it. And she goes, "Oh, I am a shit throw, but he's kind of a shit catch, huh?" And I was just like, oh, yeah.
And then walks away like it was nothing. Yeah, it's great.
This is a librarian. Oh, there was another one. We were walking on the beach the other day, and Allie's got her bikini on. It's a little thing. Yeah. And 60-ish-year-old woman walks by. We start chatting. She's got her swim cap on, goggles. I'm asking if she's about to do an open water swim, and she comments to Allie. She goes, "Oh, I wish I could wear a bikini like that." And she turns around and then just hikes her bathing suit bottom right up between her butt cheeks.
Yep.
And again, that made me uncomfortable.
I was like, "Ooh, go back in the water."
Yep, she thought it was hilarious. Yeah. She walked away cackling.
Oh yeah, yep. That was the best joke of her week.
Oh yeah, that was honestly, we're still talking about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it was good, and it made me feel good. I was like, okay, yeah, what the hell of a compliment. I'll take that. I still got an ass. It's good.
Yeah.
Just turned 30. I'm feeling a little old, but hey, still got an ass.
Still got an ass.
Hell yeah.
That's the name of this episode. Maybe.
Oh my god. Yeah, but it's been just beautiful. We are very close to a beach now.
Oh yeah, we're staying at my homie Baz, his place. So we met Baz at a comedy show. I got booked on a comedy show my first night here. Shout out to Chris Myers, who ran the Loosey Goosey comedy show in Melbourne. He brought it out to Adelaide. I told him I was going to be in town. He put me on the show, which is pretty dope. Paid show. First bracket went great. Then half the comedians left, and they were half the audience. And the rest of the audience were the rest of the comedians who were going on later on. And all of the comedians... This was kind of disappointing, if I'm being honest. All of the comedians... the 4 that were going up, they, not me, not Baz, but the rest of them, they were just doing crowd work.
Yeah.
They just they abandoned their material. They just said, "Oh, this is horrible. This is going to be so shitty. So I'm just going to kind of riff and see where it goes." None of them even tried.
Yeah. Which
is bananas to me, considering that we were getting money for this. This was paid. And they just kind of all biffed it. They wasted their time and they wasted kind of mine, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And as an audience member, if you come up as a comedian and you're like, I'm just going to try some stuff, probably won't be great, like, that sets the tone for your performance. So I either think that you're unprepared or I think that you're just shit and you're insecure about it.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But the night started to pick up. I did my set to the Void, which... Pinball Jones, run by Sean Ferguson in Fort Collins. That teaches you just how to be present in a moment of silence, and it pays off on nights like the one we had the other night.
Yeah.
Because I knew my material was good, and I was comfortable enough to start hitting them with the jokes, and eventually start to hear the 4 or 5 people start to laugh.
Yeah.
And that just like, okay, I got it. We've made something of this, and it's a slog, and it's hard, and it's embarrassing, but occasionally it works out, and you really just got to stay in that pocket.
For sure. And it shows. It shows when you show up and you're just confident, because as an audience, we want you to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not going to a show and saying, oh, I hope the guy bombs. That'll be funny. Like, right. No, like, we're on your side, so, like, be on ours. Like, be present, like, be confident in your material and actually perform. And that's the thing, is they just didn't perform.
Yeah, they
just
didn't
up
perform
there.
it.
One guy sat in a chair.
Oh,
remember that guy?
God, yep. And his entire set was a conversation with me.
Yeah.
To the point I was just like, dude, you want me to just do stand-up again? Like, he was just trying to do crowd work with me. And at a certain point, he was just like, are you having a good time? I was like, nah, not at the moment. And that was the best laugh he got all night.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like, dude, stand up. Come on. So
our guy Baz was he was the headliner of the night. Mm-hmm. He went up last. He did 15 minutes or so. Did his material, and he performed it like a pro. Yeah. He knew what the count was, and he just let it rip. Few laughs, but he got them. Mm-hmm. And so we had a couple of drinks with Baz. It turns out he was ex-submariner for the Royal Navy. Yeah. Is living out here, did the van life thing too, so we had a lot in common with him, and he ended up offering us a place to stay for the night. Yeah, which is where we are right now, and his place is gorgeous. Bingo. It's huge, it's by the beach, and he's just an awesome dude. Like, we were talking on his porch for a while before his show last night, and, we bonded, obviously, because we're all military, but he's been in Australia for 6 years, did the van life his first year here, so he gets it, and he was offering, like, tips, like, here's what you do if you want to incognito park, here's what you do if, you meet some weirdos and you feel unsafe. So he was offering, like, genuine and very valuable advice that we really haven't gotten since we've done this. Yeah, no, for sure. And kind of hitting on the comfort and the discomfort thing. He offered his place, and so with the support, like, the discomfort is way easier to bear. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, being away, like, just having that, having a little bit of support from a dude makes things so much easier. And he came through in a big way when he definitely didn't have to, just for good karma. For sure. We've just been so lucky since arriving in Australia. The people we've met, they're like guardian angels, like, truly. Yeah, shout out to Kartik again. Yeah, we miss you, bud. Yeah, I hope you're listening, man. Yeah, it's just been great. And that the community here surrounding couch life or couch surfing, van life, and just traveling in general is just overwhelmingly positive and great. Yeah. But speaking of support, I think we should do some shout outs to some people back on the Greasy Boys. Yes. Specifically Cody Cardinal, Dylan Williams, Pat McCall, and Sammy Pashota. They're 3 awesome up-and-coming comedians out of Fort Collins and beyond. They run shows all around. Well, Cody Cardinal does. He runs one at Blast and Scraps. Dylan Williams does the poster for his Gorehound show. Like, they're making it out there. They're hilarious, and they're even better friends than they are comedians. Yeah. So I got to be really thankful for them and my homies from from college and the camping trip. So Jed, Alex, Weldon, Zach, and Dooley.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. Thanks for the support. Thanks for sharing our shit.
Yeah, for sure. And people from my military career have just come out of nowhere. Chris Moore, Jessica Nassirian, you guys have been sharing and have been so supportive. So thank you so much. Obviously family, they've been great too. But I'll tell you what, your friends have been kicking my friends' ass a little bit.
I would have bet on that.
Yeah, like we didn't mean to make this a competition, but it became a little bit of a competition. And guys, life hack, you want to know who your real friends are? Start a podcast. Truly. Yeah. I've had to rearrange our wedding guest invite list like 3 times based on who is supported and who has not. So I can see you. Like I can tell if you're not sharing or commenting. So give us a little bit of love, for real. Like it's tough putting yourself out there, and it is so easy to do it if you have the support.
Yeah, it does, but it still feels exposing.
It
you
does.
know what I mean? I thought I'd be a little bit better at it, or a little bit more comfortable with it based off of my time doing comedy, but I was never good at self-promotion doing comedy, which I'm gonna have to be, and I have to be with podcasting too.
Yeah.
So much of it is networking and telling people that you're doing this thing, which is, like I said, super exposing.
Yeah.
And it's not something I'm really used to at all. I'm used to being on the track. I'm used to working for the man. And I'm used to being that kind of stiff.
Yeah.
And so this is all so new. And there's no safety net. There's no path to follow. There's no promotion to chase. There's just what you got and how you do it.
Yeah.
And the rejection of it is a rejection of you as a person. So like the rejection feels personal as well.
Right.
There's nothing to absorb that shock if it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And that makes me, I gotta be honest, it makes me nervous. Like I'll feel something chewing on my stomach every once in a while when I'm thinking about what we're doing and what we're trying to pursue.
Yeah. I mean, it's daunting because we're putting everything out there. Like, we want to be honest and raw and open with this podcast. So, talking about travel, talking about van life, our relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, we are willing to put it all out there. And that can be super scary.
It is.
And even just promoting this podcast, it's been different. We're constantly putting out content and telling strangers, hey, listen to our life. And I mean, they're gonna judge it no matter what. Hopefully they find it funny, but there is a very good chance they won't, or they'll say, oh, this is dumb or whatever. So that's really scary. But I have been really impressed with you specifically, because I know that this is much newer for you than it is for me. I mean, your Instagram before the podcast had 11 posts?
Yeah, something like 11 posts in the last 5 years. And I'll tell you, they all got great engagement. People were thirsty for my content.
Yeah, because they wanted to know if you were alive.
Proof of life.
Yeah.
I will say,
it's tough.
my experience in the military has made me recognize that feeling of fear as a feeling of something that happens before you get over it.
Right.
There's for the most part in my military career, when I've been in combat or had to do difficult things, or things that have challenged me both mentally and physically, you get again that nagging feeling that like, oh my God, if I don't make it, this is a value judgment on me as a person, and it is, and oftentimes that is precipitated by overcoming it. So I'm hoping that this is much the same, and it's not a pervasive feeling. It's not something that is enduring through everything that I do. It's just on occasion, on a long drive, I start to think of this podcast and what it is and how far it could go, and if it doesn't, and then that starts chewing on it, and it gets me a little unnerving.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of used to all sorts of feedback and rejection, just being in a career that has forced me to be on people's televisions and be in newspapers and, be on billboards. And I remember as a 22-year-old reporter, I got hate mail that was dumb. It was like, oh, you wore a green t-shirt today, you stupid piece of shit. And I was like, oh my God, like, why would you say that? What, like, people call you fat, they call you ugly, they just say a bunch of stuff. And a lot of my mentors, they would tell me, like, Allie, if people are judging you for something, then you're on the right side of the fence. It means that you're actually doing something noteworthy, worth being judged. You're doing something that's sparking conversation. And no matter what that is, it's always going to be better than the people bitching about it. And I always just kind of remembered that. And I'm like, being uncomfortable, yeah, it is daunting putting yourself out there and doing this podcast and promoting a podcast. But the people who may have something negative to say about it, odds are they're saying it maybe because they're envious, maybe because they're, I don't know, like, that they're jealous. Like, I don't mean to say it like that. But it rolls off you easier when you think of it that way.
Sure. I do get that.
Yeah. I can't put it into words right now, but, that just always stuck with me, where I was like, okay, if people are judging me, it means I'm working my ass off in some capacity. Like, I'm doing something. I'm following a passion. I'm following a dream. And that scares most people. So I think if they have any sort of internal regret, they project that on you. Like, oh, you're maybe not going to go that far. Like, you're going to run out of money. You're going to regret this. But really, it's them kind of saying it about themselves.
Well, for me, like, we haven't gotten that much criticism.
No.
So, like, for me, much of it is the internal value judgment I put on my own success and what that means to me. You know what I mean? So as we push this, as we market this, as we invest our time and much of our soul into this, if it doesn't continue to build and grow, I devalue myself based off of that. It's I project the value onto it, and I think people can relate to that. But it's much more internal of a process, of a feedback loop. Yeah. That requires no outside stimulus or takedowns. That I can give it to myself pretty easily. Yeah. Yeah.
And either way, we're embarking on the craziest adventure of our lives. So podcast aside, what we're doing is awesome and nuts and crazy all in one. And I mean, that's just something I'm so thankful to be doing, and to be able to share that with people. Regardless of how the podcast does, I'll be able to use the podcast as almost like a diary and kind of look back and be like, remember this?
Absolutely.
Remember that stupid mural we saw?
Yeah, remember how racist they were and more wearing a bangle?
So that's cool. And that makes, I think, most of this worth it.
Oh, I think it'll definitely be worth it. And I think we're going to do okay with this podcast. I don't see it failing. Yeah. Because the flip side of my thought process is the success is ours as well. Yeah. It's I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of you.
No, shut up. I'm proud of you. Don't make this about me.
All right. What do we got left to talk about?
Van names.
Van names.
Yes.
All right. We got a couple. We got a bunch. A bunch submitted. We whittled it down to like 10 to 12, I think. Yeah. That we're going to kind of pose to you guys. We'll put them up on the Instagram channel. And or Instagram handle channel.
Instagram
do we have
channel?
channels?
Come on.
How do I say it?
just Instagram. Just I'll throw it on Instagram.
Change the channel to Instagram. Where's my clicker?
You guys are clever as hell though. These names are hysterical.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, we've got the Taliban. Great. We got Vanable Lecter, Narfield, because it's orange, Vanny DeVito, and then one that I came up with literally right before we hit record was Venarius Cargarian.
Yes. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Couple more submitted. The Dodge Grand Carrot van. I think my mic dropped off.
Yeah. Let me grab that list from you. I'll take it from here. Let's see. Where are the names?
They're right here.
Oh, here they are. Okay. Macho Vandy Savage. That was a good one. Vondre the Giant. And then Susan B. Vanthony.
That's a good one.
That's really good. Are you back?
Nope.
No, not back yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta bring us home.
I know. Okay. Crash Bandicoot. That's a shout out to Jim. Yep. Remember that game? That was good times. And that's what we got. So what we're going to probably do is, like Pat said, we'll throw it on Instagram and we'll make it like a comment thing. So whatever name is commented the most, that's the one that we'll choose. But in the meantime, I've just been calling her Fatty because she's huge and she's obnoxious. She's a hell of a thing to drive, I'll tell you what. And then we've also just been calling her Old Girl. And I'll tell you what, Old Girl, ooh, she does not like hills.
No, she chills on the hills. I'm back.
Yay, what's up?
What's up?
I missed you.
Yeah. I had to fix my beer box cup mic stand.
Oh my god, yeah, we're a mess. We're a mess. But yeah, no, she's really slow. She only maxes out at 40 clicks an hour on hills, which can be very frustrating for all the cars going 100 clicks an hour past us. But she gives it her best shot.
Yeah, they can eat shit. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, did you finish up the van names?
I did. If you want to do them over.
No, of course not. I think you crushed it, if I had to guess.
Cool.
You want to move on to some listener questions?
Yes, yeah, let's do it.
First one comes from Cullen. He goes, recent social interaction. And most comedy, if it doesn't go well, feels like a strange, bad, social, awkward interaction. Mm-hmm. And this last show I had was hosted by a magician. And I figured there's just comics in the room, so I'm going to try a roast joke, see if that gets everybody, at least gets their attention, and maybe gets a laugh. And so the magician did a couple of tricks, then brings me on. And this magician just like got a show in Australia, like a ghost hunting show, and he was featured in a magazine. And the magazine picture of him must have been from a year or so ago because he had a lot more hair and a couple fewer pounds.
Yeah.
Than he did in real life. So I go up there and I'm like, "Oh, give it up for the magician." He's just featured in a magazine, saw the picture, and I think my favorite trick of his is how he's making his hair slowly disappear. What are you eating it, Scott? And everybody was like,
No.
And I was like, oh boy, okay. Right
he
back
was
into the
in the shadows. We couldn't see his expression. He's probably crying. I would be crying. Yeah, but that same show, another just awkward interaction was one of the guys just talked to us for 2 minutes of his set. He was like, "Oh, where'd you guys meet? Oh, you're from America. Oh, you're engaged. How'd you guys get engaged? Where did you live in Italy? Well, how do you like it here? Are you going to the show on Monday?" We're like, "What are you doing? We don't want to talk to you. This is weird." So I didn't like that, but I mean, we've been okay with embarrassing, awkward social interactions.
Yeah, so far we've been able to.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, don't actually knock on it. You're going to destroy the entire audio. My mic will just drop right out of the bottom.
Be very careful. If you're watching the video, you notice we haven't moved at all.
Nope.
It's not natural.
You've got the mobility of a Christopher Reeves.
My leg is asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's see what other questions. So, Chris Moore had one. How easy is it to stay connected to things going on in the U.S.? And honestly, it's pretty easy. Wi-Fi here isn't as readily available as you would think it is, so that's been a little bit of a challenge. But it's been nice to just not be involved with U.S. politics.
Yes, that's been a nice vacation.
Yeah.
We try to keep enough of a finger on our pulse to make sure, Bernie's not dead. No, he's not dead. That he hasn't died yet. That Tulsi's still in the race. That Trump's still befuddling everybody. It's just
yeah.
We're keeping enough of a finger on a pulse to know what's going on, but not enough to be able to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, but they always want to talk to us anyway about Trump, which is yawn.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Please.
Yeah, this one guy, this comedian, he had a couple of Trump jokes naturally, and he asked us after the show like 5 times if we were okay.
Yeah, and we were just like, dude, we do not care.
Yeah.
Could not give less of a shit. What we care about is you talking to us about it.
Yeah, like, stop. Like, we're fine, everything's fine, like, we don't care, but people, they want to talk about it. It's a big... popular subject.
If you're traveling outside the U.S., you find yourself as the emissary for all American foreign policy and domestic policy.
Yep.
So get ready to justify everything.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been a thing we've been dealing with. But other than that, not too bad.
Yeah.
Let's see. How do we get our visas? What was that like? That's another question Chris Moore had. And we actually have 2 separate visas. I have a working holiday visa, so I can actually make money while I'm here, but it's only offered to people who are under 30. So poor Pat.
Yeah, no, I'm got the old man visa that doesn't allow me to make money while I'm here.
It's all good. But getting my visa was kind of a hassle. I had to get it in Germany, and I had to go to a Frankfurt hospital, and they took me to this basement without any windows, and they told me to take my shirt off and pushed me into a blackout room, and they scanned my whole body to make sure I didn't have tuberculosis. So
that's not how they check for that.
Yeah, and well, I know, right? I just got me too'd. But yeah, so that was weird, a little bit. But I also had to show like copies of my bank statements. I had to show my college diploma, which that was a whole rigmarole just to get. I mean, who asked for your diploma?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know where that thing was. Probably threw it away. I don't know. So I had to request one from my university. It was weird. But it was very extensive for me, which was a slight bummer. But that's the visa thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went through without a problem. We're here for a year.
Yeah.
Approved.
Exactly. So that's pretty cool. Huge fan of that.
I think we got one more question.
We do, yeah. Let's see, Jim. Jim wants to know, okay, so he says, you both have been known for traveling the world, but there's continued talk about sending humans to the moon again and to Mars before mid-century. If space travel was more accessible, would you go, and how long would you stay? Would you consider returning to Earth?
The answer is yes, yes, and yes. I would definitely go to space. I would want it mostly for the experience, though. I think, like, once you get there and you do a couple of bounces on whatever moon or Mars planet, you get used to the gravity. You're just like, whoa, maybe hit a golf ball or 2, drive a lunar rover. I think once you spend an afternoon there, you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be okay with returning back quickly.
Yeah. I actually, when I was combat camera full-time, we did a feature on a guy, a CV-22 pilot, major in the Guard, who had just failed out of one of the final levels of like the next space program, where they want to get a bunch of people to maybe do like a one-way trip to Mars. And he was talking about it. He's like, yeah, essentially they're going to pick some people and they're going to just teach them everything. So botany, engineering, medical, like you learn it all, and then you just leave and you don't come back.
Yep, see ya.
That's crazy. He was like, oh yeah, I was totally down to do it. I don't have family or friends here. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's why you're not allowed on the ship, you fucking sociopath.
But that's pretty intense. But it makes sense. I mean, if we're going to Mars is super far away.
Yeah, good riddance.
I don't know how far. Write in, let us know.
Let's keep most of the smart people on Earth. How about we solve some of the problems here?
Yeah, exactly. Let's fix this planet first before we ruin another.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for questions.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
All right, so let's bring her home.
Yeah, what do we got going on?
We have Comedy show on Monday. It's whatever their new talent is. Their new talent night at the Rhino Comedy Club in Adelaide. I'm looking forward to it. If you find yourself here, come on down. Love to see you.
Yeah, and I have a couple of shoots possibly coming up for Taste Made Travel. Some that involve shark diving, oyster fishing. I don't know what that is.
Oyster shucking.
Yeah,
shucking. You run out with your waders on, you pick up a bunch of oysters, you crack them open, and you slurp them out.
Eat them. Yeah, just like that.
Yep.
So, what I might do, if you guys want to meet us or say hi, I'll put the shooting date and location. I can always use models for these productions, so
hell yeah.
I can always use you as a model too.
Yep.
Cool.
Anything else?
No. I would say the only other thing is we are going to be included in an Australia podcast directory on December 10th. So they listen to us, they don't hate us, and it's for podcasts that either have Australian hosts or are based in Australia.
Yes.
So we got in. High five. Let's do it for real.
She's learning. She's adapting.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, we're super excited about that. Guys, continue, please, to support this, to share it, to review it, to like it, to give it 5 stars. Again, we couldn't do this without your support and your love. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
See ya.
See you next time.